How are you doing? I'm Sean. I introduced Touhou to one of my friends. He'll never escape. And he was struggling to memorize the character names. This prompted me to write notes to assist him, which turned into a YouTube video script. Sometimes hate myself for unintentionally writing essays. So here we are. This is a list of Touhou characters. My friend and probably you would have trouble remembering them. Number 1. Chiyuri Kitashirakawa. She has the longest name in Touhou at 20 characters, along with Raisin Udongen Inaba. Udongen, the udon. Her last name isn't that hard to remember. Shirakawa is quite a common last name in anime. You just add kita at the front. By using this memorization technique of separating her last name, kita meaning north and Shirakawa meaning white river, it becomes easier to memorize. I'll give you another example of this application. Number 2. Keine Kamishirasawa. Just like Chiyuri Kitashirakawa, you separate her last name to make it easier. Kami meaning up, but you can also think of the kanji kami, which means God, to make it easier for non-Japanese readers. And Shirasawa meaning white swamp. Shirasawa is a rare last name in anime, but it sounds catchy, so it's not hard to remember. You should apply this memorization technique for most of the Touhou character names with 18 letters or above. Number 3. Alice Margatroyd? Magatroyd? Alice Margatroyd. Margarine and Detroit? Troyd, but with the letter D at the end. You know, margarine, a spread? Here's a picture most Malaysians would recognize the original brand of. Anyway, imagine Miss Margatroyd buying margarine in Detroit at night and then getting robbed by Marisa because it's Detroit. Actually, she would be murdered by Raisin since Detroit is second to San Francisco. They're both dumpster fire. Number 4. Aya Shameimaru. Ayaya. Shame! Her name overall isn't hard to memorize, but it's always funny whenever I have to type her name on image boards. No, I'm not getting after her. I'm just looking for artworks of her to use in my YouTube videos. This was from 2 years ago, by the way. She had the perfect artwork for a YouTube thumbnail, and I put some effort into it, so I had to include her. It's a stupid thumbnail, I know. There's also Hatate Hime Kaido. Well, let's just count Hatate as number 5. Hatate no Yusha Tate and your Tate? Hate Hata Hate hate on Tate. Yeah. Her name is just hard for people with dyslexia. Number 6. Minamitsuru District. You can see Mount Fuji from here, now that I've been there. It reminds me of an advertisement jingle that I can't remember. I don't think it's that. I'm not even sure if the ad I remembered was in Japanese, but here's a piano transcription I made. Anyway, I don't actually have an advice to memorize her first name. Her first name is not difficult to remember, but it is forgetful. Just try your best to remember. Please remember. Number 15. Yatsuhashi Tsukumo. She also has the same case as Minamitsu, but the difference is that people remember her sister Ben instead of her. Her sister is the reason why her name is so forgettable. Number 7. Shinmyomaru Sukuna. I don't know. Shinmyomaru. The Japanese kanji is even difficult to read. The difficulty of memorizing her first name will affect how you spell it, and if you misspell her name, it'll cause further confusion, just like any other long vocabulary. I guess we have to try our best to memorize her name by separating it into 3 words. Shin-myo-maru, even though it has 6 syllables. Shin-myo-maru. Google is messing with me. Her last name is also hard to remember correctly because of this licorice recoil meme. Sukuna! There's also this Nintendo game called Sukuna, which means disaster in Filipino. You won't have this issue if you're a Jujutsu Kaisen fan. Sukuna's last name reminds me of this problem these anime characters have. Mikasa, Misaka, Misaki, Masaki. Number 8. Toyosatomi Minomiko. Her title is not hard to remember, it's pretty easy to read unless you're a Toyota fan. Number 9. Watatsuki sisters. Watatsuki no Toyohime and Watatsuki no Yorihime. I don't have trouble distinguishing their names, so here's my advice. Since Yorihime is a swordswoman, think of the letter Y from her first name as someone holding a sword. Here are some examples of Saber from the Fate series doing the planted sword stance. See the letter Y? I'll draw it for you just in case. Number 10. Eiki Shiki Yamazanadu. I don't think anyone wants to remember Yamazandu, especially when you pronounce and spell it with the letter X. Let's make this more confusing. Eiki, Keiki, Eika. There's also the official manga Touhou Chireikiden. I feel like Zun is doing this on purpose. Moving on. Number 11. Keiki Haniyasushin. While her last name is easy to pronounce, it's so hard to remember. You might even misspell it. I can't help but to notice the word sushi in her last name, despite that it contradicts with how the Japanese kanji is read, Haniyasu. If you knew that the character Kami can also be read as Shin, then I think it makes it easier. Haniyasu is an actual Shinto god, but Zun used kanji instead of hiragana, which is elaborate. I don't know the Japanese language well enough to explain this, so check out her wiki, Keikipedia. Get it? Number 12. Hekatia Lapilazuli. Her last name is made easier thanks to the game Minecraft. There's an ore called Lapis Lazuli. It's an actual gemstone in real life. The latter part is pronounced in Japanese katakana rather than in an English accent. Nevertheless, it can be puzzling when spelling her last name. You just have to stick the two words together. Number 13. Sumireko Usami. For some reason, I keep remembering her name as Sumeriko. Maybe it's because of Riko from Love Life that I have this problem. Anyway, this is really just advice for myself. But I would think of the character Sumi from Kanajo Okareshimasu. Sumi. There's also the phrase sumimasen, which means excuse me. Number 14. Mima. Here's the thing, you don't. You can probably tell which character names my friend had trouble with. A few of them are from me, while a few others are just jokes. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to stay tuned for more of my videos, and I'll see you next time. Take care.